fastest teams to practice today. Kyle
Casey Kane, we congratulate him, his third career pole.
It's all three Hendrick Motorsports in the front.
There's a few movers and shakers out there.
Carl Edwards free falling for a couple
to victory lane is Joey Logano.
Get the inside line on who's fast and who's last before setting your NASCAR fantasy race team lineup this weekend. This is the Inside Line on MRN.com, presented by Hercules Tires. Now, here are your fantasy experts, Robbie Mays and Tyler Burnett.
Welcome to the Richmond version of the Inside Line. This is Robbie Mays, and I'm Tyler Burnett. We're here to talk fantasy racing each and every Friday here on the MotorRacingNetwork.com. Last week was a bit strange, Robbie. Guys at the front of the field who were surprises, guys at the back of the field who were even bigger surprises, and my fantasy team depleted because of that. But nonetheless, it was an interesting weekend at Bristol.
It was, and I'm going to ask you this question. We saw the unusual names up front. We saw some of the big names in the back. But for you, Tyler, what was the strangest thing to come out of Bristol last week?
Kyle Busch running over someone?
Okay, that wasn't what I was going to say. The strangest thing for me last week, and probably the best thing for me last week, was the fact that Roush Fenway, late in the going, had all three of their cars in the top 10. They didn't all finish in the top 10, but Roush Fenway had a very strong day last week. We had Ryan Reed on our show last week. He drives for Roush's Xfinity Series team, and he talked about the strides that the Cup Series program has made this year, and they have gotten a lot better. I think they proved it last week. Trevor Bayne had a top 5 finish, so I was excited for those guys, and also want to give a shout-out to Matt DiBenedetto, finished 6th last week, the best finish ever for BK Racing. Those guys last week really impressed me a lot. Now, that being said, some people had to have bad luck, and if you had guys like Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, Matt Kenseth had trouble on your team, like Tyler is right now. He's raising his hand. That's part of the reason why those guys were up there, but still, good job for those guys.
Yeah, if I would have told you going into the weekend you could have Kyle Busch, Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin, and the rest of the field can be someone else's, you probably would have said, yeah, sure. Give me those three.
No, because you gave me that advice. So, no, I'm not taking that advice. I don't want
We
those
did
guys.
hit a lot of storylines last week, mostly Carl Edwards. Ryan Reed picked Carl Edwards. You picked Carl Edwards. We talked a lot about Roush. And, of course, they all came through.
Yeah.
So that's all that matters. We're just here for you. But I did not pick a good fantasy team anyways. All right, coming up on the show today, our on-track fantasy expert joins us. That's Regan Smith.
Yeah, looking forward to hearing from Regan Smith.
Tommy Baldwin Racing. He'll be on the show. Also, we'll hear from Joey Logano and give our fantasy teams and our winners. That's all coming up on this version of the Inside Line presented by Hercules Tire.
Got a question or opinion about your fantasy lineup? Give us a call at 8444-ASK-MRN, and it may get used on next week's show. The Inside Line will return in a moment.
O'Reilly. If you do-it-yourselfers are looking for the right tool for the job, stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts Power Torque Tools DIY Day Sale. You'll find a wide selection of Power Torque tools on sale now and guaranteed for life. Power Torque Tools DIY Day Sale going on now at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limit supply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
MRN On Demand. Listen or watch when you want and where you want. Find all of MRN's original programs in the Media Center at MRN.com, as well as YouTube, iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, and Race Day Nation on iHeartRadio. Find NASCAR Live, Motorsports Monday, Winged Nation, NASCAR Coast to Coast, Pod Tracks, Sling and Dirt, The Inside Line, and The Straight Line. Motorsports programs when you want, where you want. MRN On Demand. Join the Motor Racing Network every Tuesday evening for NASCAR Live. Eli Gold, along with the cast of MRN personalities, will take you into the sport of NASCAR like you've never heard before.
And the intent was right there. There wasn't no, oh, oops, I bumped into him. This was, look out, here I come.
And what would NASCAR be without the fans?
As a fan, it was like, whoa.
It's NASCAR Live every Tuesday evening at 7 p.m. Eastern on the Motor Racing Network. Welcome back to the Inside Line. Here are your hosts, Robbie Mays and Tyler Burnett.
We're 3 away from 1,000 players on our NASCAR.com Fantasy Live League, and it seems to get tougher each and every week because there are so many playing in our league right now that if you have a bad week, you're going to finish way down there.
Yeah.
It's pretty bad. If you want to win a Google Chromecast, all you have to do is go to mylistenerstudy.com and fill out a quick survey. Again, that's mylistenerstudy.com and fill out a quick survey. We appreciate your feedback about our shows here on MRN.com. And, of course, don't forget to sign up for your Google Chromecast. Robbie, you have one of those, right?
I have one, and I use it all the time for Netflix, for Hulu, and, of course, to watch YouTube. And all of our shows on MRN.com are available on our YouTube page. We usually send out the link to everything the day of. So, yeah, you can check it out and get yourself a chance to win the Google Chromecast.
All right, Richmond, everybody is making a huge deal about this day race stuff. Whatever, we're racing during the day, and that's a huge deal. Don't they know we sat in a hotel for 24 hours when it rained on Saturday last year?
It did rain for 24 hours.
And then we raced on Sunday during the day?
We raced on Sunday during the day, and it was a great race, and I'm looking forward to seeing what happens on Sunday afternoon.
The guy who dominated that race, well, as Winston would say, took him to the woodshed, was Kurt Busch. 291 laps led during that race. He's on my fantasy team this week just because Carl Edwards bit me last week not having him on my team. He led a good majority of the laps. You really have to get one of those guys right that's going to lead all the laps. Out of your top 3 tier in your fantasy team, one of those guys has to lead a lot of laps, or you're not going to do well. Is that right?
Yeah, I had Carl as my winner last week.
And not on your team.
And not on my team. So I got the bonus points for Carl winning the race, but I didn't get those bonus points for him leading the laps. And he led 276 laps last week. He led 124 the week before that at Texas. He's now third this year as far as laps led goes. So if Carl wasn't on your team last week, if you had him as your winner, good for you. But if he wasn't on your team, you still lost a ton of points last week.
Yes, you did. You're number 1 seed in your fantasy team this week?
Well, we'll start with Carl. I've got him on my team again this week. At Richmond, he's pretty good. He's won here once.
He's not bad.
He's probably should have won here 2-3 more times, though. He's had penalties have really kind of taken him out. There was one race where he was leading the race, and he jumped the restart. As the leader, he jumped the restart. He was black flag, and he didn't win that race. But again, he could have won here 2 or 3 times. I like him on the short tracks. He has the 3rd highest 10-race average, 23 starts, 11 top 10 finishes. Carl Edwards has won the pole the last 2 races, led a bunch of laps the last 2 races, and I'm going back with Carl again this weekend at Richmond.
I have his teammate who's won 4 races at Richmond, and that's Kyle Busch. He finished 2nd the last time we were at the racetrack to his teammate Matt Kenseth, who will also be good this week. Don't let us fool you. I know we don't have him on our team, but Matt Kenseth will be good this week. And I was joking around yesterday. Matt Kenseth is our one-on-one in our NASCAR Live pre-race show on Sunday. Well, the last time he was our one-on-one, he won the race, and that was at Michigan last year. So Matt Kenseth, maybe there's some good luck in that. I really don't know, but Kenseth will be good. But Kyle Busch is on my team. He has 4 wins, like I said, at Richmond. Listen, I know he struggled last week at Bristol. That was just a freak accident. I mean, blown right front tire, obviously, and then ran back to the front, and I think I texted you at one point, and I said, I think he's going to win this race. And then not anymore.
Not anymore. That was my response. Not anymore. You know, you're going to have that. He still had a dominant car. He still had a fast race car. And Matt will probably be the first one to admit this season has not been what he wanted it to be. He's run really strong in almost every race we've run this year. But for some reason, he hasn't been able to put the finishes together. He's had bad luck at some point during the course of a race. But that's going to turn around. It always does for Matt. He's been a champion driver. He's been a race winner. So I wouldn't worry too much, Matt Kenseth fans. He's going to get the season turned around.
Also, the second guy on your team, and he'll be the 3rd guy on my team, is a guy who has been very, very good at this racetrack the past 4 races, and that's, of course, the last 2 years. He has top 10s. Well, we talked to him a couple weeks ago about this racetrack, and he said it's pretty tricky.
Richmond is one of those places that you have to be good everywhere. You know, it's definitely a compromise type of racetrack where you can't just say we're going to be great here and give up something else. We just got to try to find a way to make it all good. You know, exit's probably the least important in qualifying, but in the race it's probably the most important. You know, so just kind of it flip-flops depending on what you're trying to do on the racetrack. it's always hard to practice here because every time you go out there, you lose a tenth, then you go lose another tenth, and it's like, does it change any better? Well, we're going slower, no matter what. So it's kind of hard to figure out what is an actual better change or not, because you can't put tires on each time so you go out there. So it's kind of hard to get a clean read on adjustments.
That, of course, was Joey Logano. He's on my team this week, $27.25. Winner of this race 2 years ago, 4 straight top 10 finishes at Richmond International Raceway. He has won the pole in 5 of the last 8 short track races for the Sprint Cup Series. That's a cool stat, but what does it mean? It means it's an opportunity for him to lead laps. I just talked earlier that I've lost a lot of points the last 2 weeks because guys on my team have not led laps. Well, Joey Logano at Richmond, 94 laps led in this race last year before it became the Kurt Busch show, and he led 25 laps last fall. Both of those races he started from the pole. Those are easy points to pick up. So whoever wins the pole later on today, I think, might be a good option to look at for starting on Sunday.
The definition of compromise, just to help you out, I wrote it down: an agreement or a settlement of a dispute that is reached by each side making concessions. So you have to. I was just helping you out with vocabulary.
Thank you, Merriam-Webster. I
know
appreciate
you dropped
it.
compromise. You didn't know what it meant.
I know.
So.
Let's move on.
Anyways, to round out my team, I have Ryan Ellis. Blaney, Ryan Ellis, Reed Sorensen, Josh Wise, and Cole Witt, they all do not have charters, and there's 41 cars this weekend. So one of those cars is going to be going home, and I don't think it's going to be Blaney. Let me say that.
I don't think it's going to be Blaney either. I'm just saying. Rounding out my team, my third start is Kevin Harvick. I know that's weird to say he's third on my list, but I'm taking him. He's won here before, 30 starts, 3 times a winner, second highest driver rating at a 110.1, second only to Kyle Busch, but he does have the highest 10 race average finish. Rounding out my team, I'm going to go Landon Castle, $8.50. He's good at Richmond. He was in the top 20 until late in this race 1 year ago. And I'll round out my team with David Regan. He's got 3 top 10s and 18 starts at Richmond International Raceway. All 3 of those were driving for Jack Roush.
We'll see how it works this weekend. After the break, the driver of the APC Chevrolet for Tommy Baldwin Racing, Regan Smith, joins us here on the Inside Line.
Tyler and Robbie will be right back to talk more fantasy racing here on the Inside Line.
O'Reilly.
If you do-it-yourselfers are looking for the right tool for the job, stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts Power Torque Tools DIY Day Sale. You'll find a wide selection of Power Torque tools on sale now and guaranteed for life. Power Torque Tools DIY Day Sale going on now at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limit supply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
The Toyota Racing Team wants to take a quick moment to congratulate Kyle Busch on his 2015 NASCAR Sprint Cup Series championship that he won in the Camry. Don't worry, this will be as fast as Kyle in his Camry. How fast is Kyle? So fast he's won a ton of races across all NASCAR series. Plus, he's won 133 of Toyota's 332 NASCAR victories. He's even won 38 NASCAR Camping World Truck Series races in the Tundra. And now here he is wearing the 2015 NASCAR Sprint Cup Series championship crown. So yeah, Kyle is really fast. We're proud of him and all the folks at Joe Gibbs Racing, whose teamwork made this win possible. Keep those checkered flags waving and take another victory lap in your Camry, Kyle. Good luck to all our drivers in the 2016 season. Head over to ToyotaRacing.com to find more info about the Toyota Racing Team and Kyle's journey to victory. Better get there fast before Kyle wins another race. Let's go NASCAR. Toyota, let's go places. NASCAR is a registered trademark of the National Association for Stock Car Auto Racing, Inc.
Let's talk more fantasy racing on the Inside Line. Here's Robbie and Tyler.
Of course, I mentioned 41 cars will be in the field this weekend, and we'll have Blaney, Ellis, Sorensen, Wise, and Witt. Those 5 cars will have to qualify their way into the race if they want to be in the field. Well, this man that we're about to talk to has a charter.
He does.
Of course, so he'll be in the race.
He is in the race.
The Tommy Baldwin Racing Chevrolet. He's actually not bad here. Looking at some of his numbers, 17th, 18th, 27th, 24th. He's got 4 top 30s in this race, and I think those were for Furnished Row Racing.
And Regan Smith is obviously our guest. He's going to be joining us here in a minute. Regan Smith, to me, he's had a couple of different careers basically. He had the started in the Sprint Cup Series, drove for Furniture Row Racing, won the Southern 500 at Darlington Raceway in 2011. And then he went back to the Xfinity Series. And I think when he was in the Xfinity Series driving for Junior Motorsports, he got back a lot of confidence that he might have lost early in his career. Went down to the Xfinity Series for 4 seasons, won a bunch of races driving for Dale Earnhardt Jr., and then got an opportunity this year to drive for Tommy Baldwin Racing. And he opened the season with an 8th-place run at the Daytona 500. So that was strong for Regan Smith, and I think if you ask that team right now, have we been happy since? I don't think their answer will be yes, but it could be a lot worse for Regan. Looking on the horizon, we've got Richmond this week, but next weekend going to Talladega Superspeedway. That's another opportunity for that team to get a top 10 finish, and it's an opportunity for that team to get a win.
We ran down our teams in the last segment, and we talked a lot about, of course, you have Kevin Harvick on your team. I have Kyle Busch on my team, Carl Edwards. How about Dale Earnhardt Jr.? 11.2 average finish at Richmond. That number seems a little surprising to me. He finished 5th the last time we were there.
Yeah, Dale Earnhardt Jr., the fall race at Richmond wasn't his strong suit for a long time. He struggled there in the fall race. He's won the spring race 3 times, I think, but never in the fall race. So I think that number might be a little bit low simply because the fall race, he's always struggled there for some reason. But Dale Earnhardt Jr. is a great option at Richmond. He gets around there well. Obviously coming from a short track background, like most of our drivers do. But Junior, driving the short tracks of the Carolinas early in his career, I think that really helped him out a lot, and he's been able to pick up Richmond, and obviously he's won there a bunch of times, so he's always a good option at Richmond too.
Ryan Newman also in that 11.7 driver average in the last 10 races at Richmond, might be a solid pick for you. Kyle Larson, who struggled last week, I don't know if I'll go down that route because he burned me last week at Bristol, but Kyle Larson has a pole at Richmond, and he's done well. 3 straight top 20 finishes for Kyle Larson. Clint Boyer's there, Jamie McMurray. That's some of the guys in the top 10 of driver averages that you can see on the Race Center on MRN.com. Regan Smith now joins us on the line. Regan, how are you, man?
I'm doing good, guys. How's it going?
Great. How'd your fantasy team look last week?
Well, my fantasy team did not look that great last week.
Join the club.
I got to be perfectly honest with you. I forgot to plug my guys in. So.
Oh wow, you probably still did better than me.
Yeah, I made the ultimate mistake as a fantasy guy. So that wasn't too cool. But I'm looking to rebound this week. I got some big plans and some good picks, and I think I can recover here.
I was looking at some of your numbers at Richmond. They're not bad. I mean, you have 4 top 30 finishes when you were with Furniture Row, a 17th and 18th in 2012 and in 2013. So what are your chances this weekend going to Richmond?
Well, I like Richmond. It's a place that, to be quite honest, Furniture Row wasn't one of my favorite racetracks, and it seemed like we could always qualify good there, and we just couldn't necessarily carry that speed over to the race. And when I moved on to Junior Motorsports, it seemed like things started to click at Richmond. Both races last year, thought we had a really good shot to win, and the second race in particular, led some laps and battled with my teammate Chase Elliott for a while. Really, I look forward to going to. I look forward to racing at, and it could be a good weekend for the number 7 car.
Regan, I've always heard race car drivers say if they could build another racetrack, it would be another Richmond. Why do you guys like that track so much?
Well, I think it's the first part of it is that it's a short track, and most of us grew up on short tracks. It's got the heavy braking, it's got the tire fall off, it's got the wheel spin coming up off the corners. At times, and this is the tricky part about Richmond, sometimes we see that middle and top group come in, and when that happens, you couldn't ask for a better place to race at. At times, it can be single groove, everybody down on the bottom, depending on weather conditions and what tire Goodyear brings and different things like that, and what aero package we have with the cars. But for the most part, it seems like on the day races, like what we're going to have this time there, it can widen out, and it just breeds a lot of good race. It creates a little bit of a different racing mentality in our heads, and it allows us to maybe try and be a little bit more of a calculated driver instead of just going out and clicking off qualifying laps all the time, which happens at some of the racetracks that we go to.
When you look at your fantasy team this week, who do you like going to Richmond? Obviously, Denny Hamlin has been good in the past, but has struggled of late. Matt Kenseth has been good. Kevin Harvick, Kyle Busch. Who do you like this week?
Yeah, I mean, Denny is obviously hard to pick against with his track record there. But as you said, he's been struggling as of late. The other thing about Denny that I keep pointing out is he got that win in the Daytona 500, maybe a little 500 hangover there. New crew chief this year, still feeling each other out just a little bit. So I'm going to steer clear of Denny this week. I'm going to go the Kevin Harvick route. I think it's extremely difficult to pick against Harvick at Richmond as well. I know what he's capable of there. So I look for Kevin to have a good day. Matt Kenseth, another guy that just kind of quietly always runs good at Richmond. He won the last race there, and I feel like we're always talking about him at some point throughout the course of those races in the top three. So Matt's obviously looking to get his stuff kind of on track a little bit more, and then maybe a little bit of more of a stretch, but a guy that I think very easily could go there and not only pull off the top five, but possibly even his first win. Chase Elliott this weekend. It's a great racetrack for him, and he's relatively cheap at $19. So I like Chase Elliott.
I like that pick. How about your winner?
Winner. I'm gonna have to stick with Harvick. I just I know how good he is at that place. As I said, I was his teammate in the Xfinity stuff for the past 2 years at Richmond, and there's something about him. He knows how to get around that racetrack. He knows how to find speed around there, and I don't think I can pick against him.
All right, that's a good pick.
Regan,
I like it.
Yeah, I like it too. I might steal that pick later on in the show today. Regan, we got Richmond this weekend, but let's look ahead 1 week to Talladega. You guys finished 8th in the Daytona 500. So, I mean, restrictor plates have always been a strong suit in your career. Obviously, I know you guys are looking forward to going back to a restrictor plate race at Talladega Superspeedway next weekend.
Yeah, well, I enjoy the plate racing. There's two mentalities to look at when you go there. It's the, oh my goodness, I can get caught up in a wreck and it's not my fault, I hate this place, or it's the, hey, this place pays 40 points just like any of the other racetracks we go to, and somebody's going to get a trophy at the end of the day, so why not me? So I picked that later mentality. I kind of embrace it and try to learn it and try to understand it. It's different than anything else we do, and you can definitely get caught up in a wreck that has nothing to do with you, that you're of no part of, and it can ruin a good day on lap 5. It can ruin a good day on lap 200. That's a product of the plate racing. But wide open, big place like Talladega is, will be 3 and 4 wide all day long. I think we saw how racy these cars really can be in Daytona. Naturally, there's certain guys I would expect to be up front more so, and with this rule package, it kind of makes it a little more difficult for you to have a sleeper of a winner. And when I say that, it seems like the car that can get out front, that's just got raw speed, is tougher to pass than it's ever been. And we've seen this now going back to last year with this package, that if you got somebody that's just flat out flying, they can really manipulate the air in the front of that pack and maintain their position and kind of dictate what the rest of the pack does. So, I would look for those Toyotas and the Gibbs cars in general to be strong again, obviously. And, going there, Dale Jr., he seems to be the man down there. So I'm sure he'll find his way to the front at some point or another. And as the race shakes down at the end, that's when things kind of get crazy, and you can have that, those different cars that maybe you don't see every week slide their way up to the front of the field and find position and maybe push a car or get themselves pushed to where they need to be to get a good solid day.
Regan, it's always a pleasure to have you on the show. Good luck this weekend, and hopefully we'll talk to you this weekend.
Hey, looking forward to it, guys. Have a good week.
Regan Smith, everyone, driving for Tommy Baldwin Racing this weekend. Of course, he's happy he's got a charter because he doesn't have to qualify to get into the race, but He will be in the race, and he's pretty good here. I mean, looking at his numbers, he could be a decent fantasy start at the back of the field, underfunded teams, right?
Yeah, I think he's a great start at Richmond. I think he's a great start anywhere because he has the potential to run top 20 each and every week.
All right, we're going to take a break. We'll be back with our winners next here on the Inside Line.
We'll be right back in just a moment to talk more fantasy racing with Tyler and Robbie here on the Inside Line.
Whatever you drive, wherever you go, Hercules Tires will get you there, whether you're running on dirt or running a job. Our dependable, high-quality tires are the perfect fit for your needs. For unmatched value, selection, and warranty with industry-leading road hazard protection, there's only one choice: Hercules Tires. To learn more, visit HerculesTire.com or call 800-677-9535. Hercules Tires, right on our strength.
Does your heart race for great taste? For a limited time, get 20% off Creekstone Farms premium St. Louis-style all-natural Duroc pork ribs. Choose between 4 or 8 fall-off-the-bone rack of ribs and get up to $30 in savings. Just place your order at creekstonefarms.com before April 30th using the promo code MRN20RIBS. That's MRN20RIBS. Enjoy the juiciest premium quality beef and pork products. Visit creekstonefarms.com today.
The grill is hot and the cooler is cold at America's Tailgate Party, NASCAR USA. Join us each weekend as your host and head chef Rob Tanner serves up the hottest hits and country music, and Steve Post drops by with NASCAR news straight from the sport's top garages and shops. We have 2 hours of country music at the speed of sound, getting you ready for NASCAR racing. Rev up your weekend at America's Tailgate Party, NASCAR USA. We now return to the Inside Line with Robbie Mays and Tyler Burnett.
The final break is behind us. Again, this is Robbie Mays. I'm Tyler Burnett. We appreciate you watching each and every weekend here on the Inside Line. And now we move into our winners segment. First, picking our winners. Robbie, you said before the show, to be determined. Do we just put up a TBD graphic right now?
Yeah.
Or are you going to pick your winner?
You go first.
What? All right, mine is Joey Logano.
I'll give you the pick.
Joey Logano is my pick to win this weekend. Like I said, the best car, in my opinion, the last 4 races at Richmond. He hasn't won yet this season. They've had speed, some bad luck. I think Team Penske is back in victory lane at Richmond.
I've gone back and forth on this pick. I've gone back and forth on my team several times this week. You know, I like the Kevin Harvick pick. I like the Matt Kenseth pick, even though he kind of scares me a little bit. I like Jimmy Johnson as a good pick, too. He's really strong at Richmond, and he's got 3 straight top 10 finishes. But if I had to put my money on anybody right now, I would say Kevin Harvick is my winner this weekend. This, of course, is still to be determined.
Wow.
Really? I might change it as the weekend goes along.
Really?
But I think Kevin Harvick, he won at Phoenix the last time we were on a flat short track like this.
What's going to change your mind?
I don't know. I don't know, but I think right now, if I had to put my money down on it, I'd say Kevin Harvick is my winner this weekend.
If Joey Logano's last in practice, I'll change my mind too.
Okay.
But that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
All right. Richmond, day racing. Everyone's pumped about it. Kurt Busch should be good, hopefully. I mean, he was good the last time we were day racing.
Yeah, and he needs to get a win. This is like the latest in the season since he's been driving for Stewart Haas. He doesn't have a win yet. He won at Martinsville his first year, and he won it at this race last year.
Yes, he has. And his brother will be good, Kyle Busch. So
absolutely.
We'll see what they can do there. Thanks to our producer, Daryl Smith, and, of course, Robbie for making all of these nice graphics you see on the screen. Practice is coming up shortly at 11 with qualifying live at 4 on MRN.com. Tomorrow we have 2 practices at 8:30 and 11 with the Xfinity Series race going live at noon Eastern Time. And then, of course, the Toyota Owners 400 on Sunday with the NASCAR Live pre-race show at noon Eastern Time. Next week we'll draw out of this hat right here for Talladega. See the Talladega hat. We'll draw out of it. Until then, we'll talk to you next week here on the Inside Line.
You've been listening to The Inside Line, presented by Hercules Tires. Stream us every Friday on MotorRacingNetwork.com or on the MRN app. The Inside Line is also available on demand at the MRN.com Media Center, or download it through iTunes or Stitcher. The Inside Line is a production of the Motor Racing Network.